In August 1991, hardline Soviet officials launched a coup against Mikhail Gorbachev, aiming to halt reforms and preserve communist rule. But what if the coup succeeded? In this alternate timeline, the Politburo crushes dissent, deploying KGB forces to silence protests. Tanks roll through Moscow as a new hardline regime announces the USSR's survival. Gorbachev is ousted and reforms are reversed. The Soviet Union remains a centralized superpower, setting the stage for a prolonged Cold War. Historical records show that without Gorbachev's glasnost, the USSR could have maintained control through repression, delaying its collapse by decades. With the USSR intact, the 1990s see a reinvigorated Cold War. Proxy conflicts flare in Africa and Latin America as both superpowers vie for influence. The space race reignites. The Soviets deploy advanced Mir-2 space stations, while the US accelerates its Star Wars missile defense program. Propaganda fuels ideological rivalry, with billboards in Washington and Moscow depicting each other as existential threats. Declassified documents suggest the USSR's military spending would have doubled, straining its economy but maintaining parity with NATO. This era cements a world divided into two uncompromising blocs. By the 2010s, the USSR unveils Sovnet, a state-controlled internet isolating citizens from global discourse. AI-powered surveillance tracks dissent, with algorithms flagging anti-state speech. Cyber command centers in Minsk and Novosibirsk hack Western infrastructure, while NATO retaliates with digital counterstrikes. Unlike the open web, Sovnet is a walled garden of censored news and Soviet-approved apps. Experts estimate such a system could have reduced Soviet GDP growth by 3% annually, as innovation stagnated under bureaucratic control. The digital divide becomes as stark as the Berlin Wall once was. Facing economic strain, the USSR invades Kazakhstan's oil fields in 2023, triggering NATO's Article 5. Arctic icebreakers clash as both powers race to claim thawing resources. Satellite imagery reveals tank divisions massing along the Ukrainian border, while US drones patrol the Baltics. Historians speculate that resource scarcity would have driven Soviet aggression, mirroring 20th century imperialism. Energy exports could have funded the USSR's military for years, but sanctions and guerrilla warfare sap its strength. The world teeters on the brink of direct superpower conflict for the first time since Cuba, 1962. By 2028, mutual exhaustion forces a tense ceasefire. At a Reykjavik summit, Soviet and US leaders shake hands before a wall of flags, their smiles not reaching their eyes. Borders remain fortified with AI drones, and citizens endure relentless propaganda. Declassified cables reveal both sides' feared AI-driven nuclear miscalculation. Economists estimate this stalemate costs 7% of global GDP annually in defense spending. The USSR, though diminished, persists as a fossilized superpower, proof that history's turning points are fragile, and AI can simulate paths not taken.